like, if I may now, to show you a couple of the different bulbs you can buy like that. That bulb is a standard bulb. That bulb takes about 15 watts of electricity and gives out the same light as this bulb, which is a traditional 60 watt bulb you will probably have in most of the fittings in your house. Quarter of the electricity, same amount of light. You can buy bulbs like that that give off more light if you want a brighter light. This one, did it again. This one is the equivalent of a 100 watt bulb, consuming barely 25 watts of electricity. You will notice that they are slightly different colors. This is one of the cool things that you can do with compact fluorescent bulbs. You can buy them with what they call different color temperatures. With a traditional style bulb, you just get that nasty yellowy light. With these, you can get a brighter white light, or you can get a yellower light. We use different bulbs at home in different rooms. Some of the rooms we want a more warm tone. Some of them we want a tone that's a lot more like natural daylight. So you can mix and match. When you go down Home Depot and you buy these tonight after you leave, you need to pay attention to the packets. Some of them talk about cool whites, some of them talk about warm whites, and some of them talk about daylight. It's important to know what you're buying. And they're cool, of course, because they're using so little electricity. They're quite cool when you take them out. What about all those fancy fittings you've got, though? Well, how about this one? I use this bulb outside my house in the carriage lights around the garage. You'll see it's a very, very dim light. This is very, very low wattage. It's designed to give off the same amount of light as a traditional 25 watt bulb, so quite pale. But I can leave that on all night, on all the lights around the outside of my house, and I don't really need to worry about the electricity consumption. I have other cool looking lights. This one's one out of our bathroom. You'll see that a couple of these specialty lights, they don't light up as well as the first bulbs I showed you. I think the reason for that is that most of the technology is still going into making bulbs that are effectively just plug-in replacements for your traditional bulbs. I think the technology in these bulbs is slightly more old-fashioned, but they're getting there. These bulbs will be as good as those other bulbs in a couple of years' time. I have flood bulbs as well. This is a bulb out of our living room. In fact, the fitting that it's in has one bulb like this. You can see again, it's quite a nasty light to start with. But the light that sits next to this light is a traditional old-style bulb. And I can tell you, after these lights have been on for about 2 minutes, you can't tell which is which. It just takes a minute or two to warm up. Look, you can see how much brighter it is now. So you can buy them in pretty much any style you like. I even have one here with a small base on. This can go in a table lamp or something like that. But despite all these advances with these bulbs, there are still two major drawbacks I'd like to mention this evening. One is they do not work well with dimmers. If you have a dimmer switch, you can't put one of these bulbs in there. They're on or they're off. Again, the technology is advancing. There are some bulbs now, a very small selection of fluorescent bulbs which can be used in dimmers. I suspect within the next 2 or 3 years we'll see a lot more dimmer compatible fluorescent bulbs. So keep an eye on what's in the shelves in Home Depot. The second drawback with these is the bulbs contain a very, very small amount of mercury. Mercury is toxic. This causes a problem with recycling and also breakages. If you break any of these bulbs, you have to be very careful with the cleaner. But as far as the recycling goes, you can't put them in the garbage. You need to be very careful about where you recycle them. But on the other hand, you're only going to be throwing one of these things away every 7 years. So how big a worry is that for you? It doesn't really affect your everyday life. So for now, I'd like to say, go down Home Depot, stock up on these little suckers, go home and change all your bulbs over. You'll save money, you'll help the environment, and you won't need to climb up those step ladders for a very, very long time. Mr. Toastmaster?
Yes!